thing is, what kinds of tactics to change the war might people engage in, is a question that people have to ask themselves. The other thing is, are they ready, and what makes them ready? And right now, I think if I was a community organizer and I just decided my job blew up and there was no money and I decided that I really wanted to work on organizing the war, you know what the first group of people I'd go out and talk to would be?
Lay off the work.
No, I think I'd lay off the workers. I think I'd be going out and looking for parents of troops. That's who I'd be wanting to organize right now. Because I think they're the ones who are going to ultimately, in the same way that the parents of the deceased in Vietnam ultimately became a compelling voice that no one could deny, right? That it's the parents of those who are threatened now who in many ways possess the greatest potential because of their legitimacy, right? My boy's over there, and I don't want to hear your bullshit about how we need to be over there. Thinking about this the other day, though, too, I was just sort of thinking, my dad, who's an old kind of New Deal Democrat, used to be pro-labor, now thinks labor unions are all, dishonest. Used to be a Democrat, now he's a Democrat, but sometimes he doesn't know if he is. I was having a conversation with him a couple of weeks ago. I was like, God, how do I get him to think differently about this war, right? And the thing that I found most effective with him was sort of saying, what if all what these people are saying is right? Think highly of these people who are out there doing these kinds of actions. But what happens if they're right, Dad?
This way.
I've gradually transformed my fairly radical notions about change in this country, et cetera, and so on, into a more conventional channel where I felt that I could work more with people who weren't like me, the majority of Americans who are either poor or working income, right? And the student involvement is really exciting. It's incredibly exciting because I also, in this long period of community organizing, I also saw a real period of student apathy. I mean, that wasn't a myth. A lot of students nowadays are defensive about that. Well, look what we're doing now. Well, what you're doing now is good, but there was a period of time when there wasn't much going on the campuses. And so I think if this anti-war movement once again is going to be led by angry young people who wear their hair long, don't care for convention, and are looking for a new world and a new way of thinking about things, I think it's important that those people also communicate effectively to those who aren't you, because I can say from my own experience that Vietnam ended in part when body bags started getting unloaded in Des Moines, and well after the bricks had gone through the windows in Harvard Square. This is a little different this time, right? We've got a guy that can sort of be categorized as like a Hitler. He just invaded a sovereign nation, right? I mean, it's a little bit easier for people to sort of think that this is a clear-cut situation where this guy has got to be stopped, right? And there's all the sort of racist dehumanization of Arabs that's going on in that. The one thing that I am convinced that we will not do this time is to belittle those guys as victims. I made recording tapes and sent them to the troops in Saudi Arabia in 1969 after bricks. Because whatever happened, those guys are victims. They're not,
I agree.
I have a recollection as a youngster watching the television news where they used to actually, those little kind of black and white photos that you get at Kmart when you put $1 in, They used to, every night on the news, CBS and NBC would show a screen of the 22 American boys that had been killed that week. And then, pretty soon, it was like the 26 American boys who had been killed that day. And then when it started to get to be the 400 American boys who were killed, the last hour, they couldn't put the faces up. But in El Salvador, what's going on is armed insurgent troops with broad popular support in the countryside are putting direct pressure on the government through armed struggle. Right? In the city, in the villages, the campesinos are providing support to those people by cashing their arms, providing them with food, etc., and so on. In the cities, Students are demonstrating in support of democratic reform, and labor organizations are also, because they are primarily concerned about workers' rights, but also concerned about broader democratic possibilities, frequently involved in education and demonstration. So what you have is, it's kind of like your stereo system, where you have those little LED lights that light up like this, right? And when the drums hit real hard, one set of light, lights are going on in El Salvador. The armed struggle light frequently is up there percolating like this. But all of it creates the environment in which the change takes place. Ruben Zamora doesn't get to negotiate in town with the oligarchy, with the fascists. He doesn't get to talk to them with any legitimacy unless the students are in the street and the FMLN is in the countryside waging war, right? So that the first choice for everybody in this room and for all of us is, which LED readout am I going to percolate? So choosing which part of the picture you are is an important step, right? And it's possible that if you choose armed struggle in the countryside, you might as well not go into town to be a part of another process. If the militant, disruptive types of tactics are important to dramatize what's going on, but if those are the tactics that you engage in, don't also expect to be one of the people that helps to educate folks as to why the war is bad. Because you won't be able to wear both those hats. As is always the case, who is the cannon fodder for our wars? It's the sons and now the daughters of, first and foremost, people of color in this country, right? And then also the lower class.